Hey guys, Boris Haas from BK Forex. Welcome to our daily Forex technicals for 7/12/13. Dollar drubbing overdone? Possibly. As always, trading Forex or margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for all investors. I ask you to read this disclaimer very carefully and to understand that there are risks associated with trading Forex on margin, and you should seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Well, let's take a look at the charts today because after yesterday's euphoria or anti-dollar dumping, we've had a little bit of a consolidation. Obviously, the euro definitely consolidated a little bit today. Although, honestly, when you look at the chart here on the dailies, it certainly doesn't look like much of a correction. Basically, it did correct down and came right back up, pretty much closed near the 3,100 level. To me, the euro right now, obviously, 30 represents equilibrium as we sort of bounce back off of the very, very lows. If you look at the euro, by the way, clearly has a double bottom. At least certainly made a double bottom off the charts. Although this bounce off the bottom happened in one day, which is very unusual. Usually it takes several days or perhaps even a week for us to kind of consolidate around a bottom. So what took 5-6 days just took one day yesterday, but nevertheless, technically it's pretty structurally sound, at least as far as the bottom goes. To the downside. So 28 caps the downside. 32 is the spike high from yesterday. That's really the key level to the upside. That really needs to be broken if you want to see further momentum. It's also, by the way, if you look at this, peak highs from April. So they're really operating on a lot of different levels here. So this 32 becomes much more critical as a breakout zone to the upside. So 30 equilibrium, 28 obviously to the bottom, 32 to the top. That's kind of how we stand in the euro as we close out the week and go into the final day of trade. Dollar yen looks very ugly, and it did break down below, of course, 100. It broke down below 99s. The one thing it did find though is support around 98.50. So far 98.50 remains key support. This is actually kind of interesting because this was the level from which it broke, if you can remember, at the end of June, and then it really touched all the way out through the 95s. So to me, this 98 becomes a very key hold. If we can hold 98, we have a chance to kind of recalibrate, perhaps move back up through the hundreds. If we break 98 to the downside, if we start to really see dollar depreciation accelerate, then it could easily come back and do a whole double bottom test around 96, 95s. So this 98 zone is a key zone of support that gets given. I think we have more downside to go in dollar yen. Cable, similar story is so let's let it come back. Similar story as a euro trying to come back up a little bit. Cable looks relatively sound, but this 51.50, 52 corridor is what's really capping the move. Again, here in cable, we need to take out the 52s to the upside, and really a full clearance would be 53s, because if we can take out the 53s, which was an area we kind of hesitated and then fell all the way out, that would be a very, very bullish sign. It would really allow us to come back all the way out towards the 57s, 58s as it completely rebuilds. On the other hand, we see a stall here. In other words, this kind of sort of peters out over here. It really creates a pretty negative structure. You have essentially a third lower low on cable, and that would be basically a downward sloping channel, and that means we go right back towards the test of the 150s and perhaps even a test of the 148s to the double bottom. Lastly, Aussie, I've been noticing this, of course, since yesterday. Tremendous amount of relative weakness on the Aussie. It's something that we talked a little bit about in our daily piece. Aussie did a complete reversal. We couldn't take out 93s and actually came in and pretty much closed to the lows of the day. And Aussie on a relative strength basis looks very weak. It looks like it wants to come back down to the 90s. Remember, 90 was never tested. If we get a deceleration through the 90s and a break of the 90s, that could be a tremendously negative development for the Aussie, as we now then would have to come into the 88.50s as the key support level. The Aussie weakness is certainly being reflected in two trades today. One is Euro Aussie, where we used to love this trade to the short side, and now, of course, the short side is kind of done, and now it looks like it's back up to the long side. 44 in the Euro Aussie is the breakout zone. If we take out 44s to the top side, it really opens up the run all the way up to the 46, 47 zone. So need to watch this very carefully. And Euro Aussie still continues to be a trade to the upside after the reversal yesterday. The other trade that looks interesting to the downside, which shows Aussie weakness, I don't think I have it here. I'm gonna have to let me just see if I can manually pull it up. Is Aussie Pad, which just hit yearly lows today at 95s and kind of floating around here around 95s. And a break of 95s really opens up a possibility. Let's take a look at the weeklies all the way out. Really, we haven't been this low in a long, long time. It opens up the possibility of probably 93, and maybe even as far down as 90 on a longer term basis. So this is a pretty serious swan dive. It looks like it continues to go to the downside, and if 95 gets broken, you want to be, I think, all around that because the potential for downside momentum definitely increases. So Aussie looks the weakest. Euro kind of hanging out. Dollar yen needs to hold 98 support, and cable definitely needs to break out above this 5150, 5200 corridor in order to make a viable trade to the upside. That's how the things shape up going into the last day of the week. Not too much data on the calendar this week, but that doesn't mean that there won't be any volatility because, of course, after the shenanigans that we saw happen yesterday, there's still going to be quite a lot of settlement before the week ends on the trade. So wishing you guys the best of luck and the best of trading. This is Boris Schlossberg for BK Forex, over and out.